gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades.
Hey, what is happening, YouTube? It is Gas Masks and Hand Grenades here, the place where music melts your mind. Sorry we're a little bit late. My guest and I were rapping for a while, and then we suddenly realized, oh shit, we didn't go live yet. So, speaking of my guest, I have the honor today of speaking with a man who is widely regarded as one of the best drummers in metal and hard rock, and his resume includes being in such prestigious bands such as Fate's Warning, the Graham Bonnet Band, Spirit Soar, Veritas, Dramatica, and I got to ask him about this. I read somewhere he somehow was tied in with Animotion. Now, the thing about Animotion is most of you people watching this are probably too damn young to even know who the hell that band is. But if you know the song Obsession, maybe you know what I'm talking about. We're going to find out from our guest what that is all about. Will you please welcome Mr. Mark Zonder? The crowd goes wild. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Good, and you?
Good to talk to you, man. We'll pretend we didn't talk for 20 minutes already.
Okay, and, what was your name again? No, by the way, very cool intro. That's
you like that?
Oh, yeah, very cool.
You'll be on one. You'll be on one of these days when I chop up another one and add, I'm up to 70. I think you're my 76th interview now. So
okay.
We're moving up the ranks here. I'm sorry it took so long to get to you, but you're in Cali, right? Are you in LA?
Yeah, in a place called Agora Hills, which is outside Calabasas. I hang with the Kardashians during the day, and then later in the evening I come here and do
nice. Look at you. At you. It's funny, man. I was watching today. Earlier, I don't have any idea how I ended up on this. I think I was looking on Amazon at Joni Mitchell box sets, and I jumped on YouTube, and of course, everything in the world pops up. The AI knew I was thinking about SoCal, and the next thing I know, I'm tripping around on one of these things where you're in someone's car and they've got a GoPro or whatever, and they're driving all through LA, and they go into Topanga. And they go into, all the cool places outside of LA. If you've ever been there, LA itself is kind of a nightmare down in the city. But it is cool to get to the, like you said, Agora Hills and Topanga and Laurel Canyon and that kind of stuff like that. Malibu, yeah. So I was out there doing that. I was watching that stuff, and somehow I ended up on one of those cool retro sort of, things that went through the whole 60s and 70s hippie trip of the Mamas and the Papas and Love and all those the Doors and all the cool bands that all live down in Laurel Canyon and Topanga and stuff like that. So there you go.
Oh yeah, that's close. That's close.
Yeah, cool area. I like it out there. I will tell you, I've been out there a couple times. I don't think I'd ever want to live there. I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm kind of good with it, but mainly because the fucking traffic was insane, man. Like just nuts.
The thing about the traffic, though, what you have to do, and I've been here a gazillion years, you just have to know when it is, how to get around it, and you plan accordingly. Now, if you're working a 9-to-5 job and that's just the way it is and that's the way it has to be, that's a different story.
Right.
But you don't have to do that. There's ways to play the game, and there's people, especially with GPS these days and stuff, and how to get around certain things. Or you just plan your schedule that you're not going to be going over the hill, which is the 101 to the 405, which takes you.
I was going to say the 405, the 405 to the 5.
Yeah, that's not fun either.
Oh, I think I can't remember why we got stuck there, but I swear, Mark, it was like 2.5 hours. It was insane.
Yeah, no, it can be ridiculous. You just have to plan it. You just have to plan it.
Well, listen, man, the reason you're here is we have a new Warlord album coming out on May 10th of 2024 on High Roller Records, and it is called, I'm going to get it wrong here. Here it is. No, I don't have it. Spirit Soar, correct?
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
And I've had the album for a couple days. I've jammed it quite a bit, and I will tell you, I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm not generally a power metal guy, right? But I don't necessarily think this is pure power metal. It's got a lot of power metal vibes to it, but it's not like a pure Euro power metal album. I think it's got that spirit of Willaim Tsamis in it. That I call it Renaissance metal. It's got that cool vibey. Every time I listen to this stuff, I feel like I'm being transported into a Renaissance festival. Weirdly,
yeah, it's kind of in that Blackmore kind of Baroque, or I guess that's what it's called. It's kind of Bill's upbringing being Greek. He had having all of his acoustic guitar lessons when he was a kid. He told me he used to get that stuff jammed down his throat. So that's kind of where he took off from that. And he was a huge Blackmore fan.
Yeah, you guys aren't quite Blackmore's night. We won't go that far.
Okay, not yet.
Plus you don't have a hot chick singing for you yet. So I don't think.
Okay, you don't think Giles cuts it as a hot looking chick?
Yeah, Giles not that hot. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Giles. Apologies. But yeah, actually, let's mention that. So the band is Giles Lavery, right?
Lavery, yep.
Lavery on vocals, and Giles is new, but he's not new. He's new, but he's old, because he actually did several gigs with you back many years ago, right?
Yeah, he came into the fold probably 2013 whenever we did the Greek stuff and Keep It True. Mm-hmm. He had known Bill for a long, long time. They were really, really, really good friends. And the story about Giles is we had another singer lined up to do those shows, and the guy was supposed to send us a couple songs every month just so we could make sure he knew what he was doing.
Right.
What was going on. About a month ahead of time, Bill and I called each other and kind of went, "This ain't happening, is it?"
Yeah.
And I kind of went, "Who do you got?" And the curse of Warlord is the singer forever.
I know, dude. It's insane. You guys they don't die, but they disappear. They
they don't commit, and then we can get into that later. There's some interesting stories, but Giles, Bill said, well, there's this guy Giles that's in this band Dragon's Claw, and I've known him, and blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, give it a shot. So Giles really saved the day, and what people don't really realize, he stepped into not necessarily big shoes, but a very interesting opportunity, and could have went either way. He was very inexperienced, and I'll never forget it. We're doing sound check, and the vendors are setting up the T-shirts and stuff.
Right.
We get doing sound check, and Giles looks at me and goes, man, that was the most people I ever played in front of. And I just went, you got to be kidding me, right? You got to be kidding. Right. He did a great job. He saved the day. He was very young. He was inexperienced. He did great. He did absolutely great. And what people don't realize that if Giles would have went to Bill, hey man, sorry, just too much pressure. I can't do it. Whatever. You never know what would have happened. We wouldn't have done those shows. People would have been pissed. We would have tried to do them again, and promoters would have probably said, no, you guys cancel all the time. So Giles really, he was that finger in the dike kind of thing that really, as much as you go, oh yeah, it's Bill and Mark and that's Warlord, without Giles there at that time, it could have went south real fast. So yeah, he saved the day. Plus he's such a Warlord fan. And like I said, he used to go to Bill, in Florida, hang out.
Super fan.
He's a super fan, but he's also a musician and he's smart. So when it came time for this, it was kind of like a no-brainer who was going to do this. Because you're also talking about a guy that we needed to write some lyrics and melody lines.
Melodies, right.
Yeah, and there's plenty of guys that would never even come close, and it's not good or bad, it's the style. They wouldn't have got the style. Giles was basically the third Warlord guy. You know what I mean? He knew it inside. He knew. Okay, we're not going to be doing blues scales here. We're not going to be doing this. He knew what Warlord needed and wanted and all those guys. So he was the obvious choice. There's no question.
Well, okay, so before we jump to that, though, let's run the other guys. Philip Bynoe?
Yep. Philip I've known for a long time. He plays a lot with Vi.
Right. And, I've seen him with Vi, way back.
Yeah, he's just, if Mark's playing, Philip's playing.
And then you've got, oh, come on.
Jimmy Waldo on the keyboard.
Jimmy Waldo, thank you. And who played on an album that I absolutely freaking love by the band New England. Their debut album is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's cheesy, but it's awesome, man. I love that album.
That's Jimmy. The thing that Jimmy had going for him, besides the fact that I worked with him with Graham and Giles and I knew each other very well, is Jimmy was another guy. Is Jimmy John Lord? Is he Don Airy? No, but he's a smart enough, mature musician that goes, okay, I'm going to listen to this. Okay, I'm going to cop that. Okay, that's that sound he's using. He's playing this style. Jimmy didn't come in playing keyboard leads. You know, he's just a smart, mature musician who can communicate and got it going on.
And he's all over this album in a good way. It's not an intrusive Rick Wakeman thing. I think the synths really keep the songs together in a lot of ways.
No, absolutely. And Warlord's always been about the song, not about the quote player.
Right.
You know, Bill could shred with any of those guys, and Bill could do all that stuff any of those other guys, Guitar Hero guys were doing, but that wasn't what he wanted to do. It was about songs. It was about melodies. Probably one of the very, 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 very few writers that looked at the voice as just another instrument.
Right.
It's not Axl Rose. It's not the dude from Faster Pussycat. It's not Vince Neil. It's just a voice, and I'm going to write for that, and you're just going to sing it instead of me playing it on a saxophone or a guitar. So I always thought that was very interesting about Bill because he was concerned about the consistency and cohesiveness of the song.
Right. Tell me something. I'm sure you've said this many times before, but I'd like to hear the story because I didn't see anything about this. The stuff that I've watched of you, I'm sure there's stuff out there, but how did you and Bill connect? How did you come together and form this kind of partnership that was weirdly, you know, you guys have this mystique about the band. There's a mystique about it, right? Not a lot of output because of the singer stuff, right? It was like you could have been huge, woulda, coulda, shoulda. You're bigger certainly over in Europe and in Greece than you were here in the States. But how did you two come together and kind of form this mystical sort of partnership?
Bill had, you know, from the music point of view, he had it going on. You know, he had the concept and the ideas. I was playing in a band in San Jose called Russian Roulette that was playing half covers, half originals. We were playing UFO, the Scorpions kind of cover, so it gives you an idea of where we were at.
Right.
And the lead singer at the time's girlfriend knew Bill from when Bill was working at like a bookstore and thought that Bill and I guess he went in right behind everybody's back, you know, but thought Bill and I would make a good combination of doing, you know, I'd be good to work with Bill. And he came out to see a gig. It was like an outdoor parking lot at a record shop kind of stuff, when that stuff was still kind of cool.
You're up in the Bay Area at this point.
Yeah, it's in San Jose.
Right.
San Jose. And, you know, I look over and there's this dude, you know, he's got the black kind of long hair. No one had really long hair at the time. Everybody was growing it out.
Right.
Glasses on, smoking a cigarette. He had the white and red, like, striped shirt, you know, the polo shirt kind of thing, you know, tight, size 27 Jordache or whatever, and the white Capizios. And I thought, well, that dude doesn't look like from around here. And we just got talking and we started jamming, and him and I spent a lot of, I'm not sure if it was years, but we spent a lot of time, just him and I, playing songs, you know, and working and jamming. Oh yeah, there was, you know, when San Jose, we were in a little warehouse in South San Jose, and we just played.
No bass player, no keyboard player at that point?
Nothing. Because you have to remember, you're in San Jose and you're what, 1979-ish?
Yeah.
It wasn't happening, you know.
You're how old? How old are you? You're
24, 25, okay. 22. I was born in 58. Thereabouts. You know? And, you know, 2021, like, kind of thing. And you didn't have those kind of people around. Plus, it was interesting because it was just Bill and I really kind of getting a foundation going. Because up to that point, as much as he had all these songs and everything, he'd never really been playing with anybody. You know, we'd just both gotten out of high school, basically. So we weren't really playing with anybody so much. So, no keyboard player, no bass player, nothing.
So you're up in San Jose. When do you make that move down to LA?
It was a few years later.
Like 81 or 82, something like that?
Yeah, probably a year or so before Deliver Us came out and everything like that. I mean, I lose track of the actual times of what was going on. But we figured.
The reason I asked that question is you're moving down to LA, and what happens in 80, 81, 82? Yeah, the hair metal explosion, right? And or starting to. You got Motley, you got Rat, you got Bang Tango, you got Rock's Regime, all those 9 Million, Faster Pussycat, like you mentioned. Yep. And I guess my question is, you know, I'm a little younger than you, Mark. I'm 58 at the end of the month. So, you know, 6-7 years younger than you at this point. And you're how old? 65?
65.
Yeah. So
Medicare.
7
awesome.
years.
Medicare. Awesome.
Actually, I'm disabled from a neurological thing. So I go on it in June, which, you know, I'm looking forward to because my bills are pretty scary. So I'm remembering, you know, I'm in high school during this period of time, 80 through 84, I graduate. And, you know, that's, you know, of course, there's the new wave of British heavy metal. You got your Maidens, you got your Priests, your Diamond Heads and Angel Witch and stuff. But there's really no kind of power metal in the U.S. that I can think of. I mean, you guys have to be one of the very first. And my question to you is, what the hell were you thinking? Because that was not something that was selling or was going to be saleable at that point in time. What was your thought process between you two?
Well, what you just hit on is what Warlord is all about. It's just about the music.
Right.
It didn't matter what the trend was.
No image.
It didn't matter, you know, that you needed to have a screechy singer and have shitty songs. You know, that wasn't what we were doing. It was, you know, our big influence flat out was like the classic Deep Purple and Rainbow.
I was going to say Rainbow is where that would be the only other band that was like kind of maybe a little bit of UFO in there, kind of more.
Kinda.
Yeah.
But, no, absolute. And we were just doing what we were doing. We knew we had something different than everybody else. And that actually was a detriment because
I was just going to say that was not a good thing. That was my whole point of this was you guys were unique, but unique was not selling back then, unfortunately, right?
It wasn't, but it also goes back to what my whole thing was, and I'm sure Bill was exactly the same. We weren't doing this to be part of the scene.
Right.
We were doing this to be original. My whole thing not necessarily when I was 7 and I started, I'm sure this wasn't going through my head, but as time developed, my big thing was like, okay, I don't want to be a working musician. I don't want to be the guy playing down at the Elks Club in a cover band so I can feed my 4 kids.
Yeah.
I want to be a freaking rock star, and I want to be different and develop a sound that's different than anybody that I've heard. Yeah, I'm going to steal from everybody. Yeah, sure. I'm going to do that, but I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to play every day. I'm going to study. I'm going to take lessons. I'm going to, you know, do my 6 months of Afro-Cuban stuff just to give me a whole different feel to it and just go to town. And that was Bill too. That was Warlord. That was his thing. You know, that's what he was doing.
Right, right.
He doesn't sound like anybody else.
Yeah, just a very different ethos, very kind of tread your own path. And, you know, so you guys do a couple demos in 81, and then you do the EP, which the demos led to a track on the Metal Massacre, right?
Well, actually, there was a thing before all that stuff happened. There's a guy named, I forgot if his name was Mark Wilczak. I forgot what it was. He had a thing going on called Heavy Metal Rules, which was basically the same thing as the Metal Massacres, his same idea. And he had Steeler and us, and we even got a T-shirt out of the deal, but it never came to fruition. He never got it going. And then Brian kind of swooped in, and, you know, the rest is history, obviously. But I'll never forget, went into Oz Records where Brian was working behind the counter, and we had Winds of Thor on a cassette, and he put it in, and about 8 bars in, he said, "Oh, you guys want to be on Metal Massacre too?" So it was that quick. We were on Metal Massacre 3. We did Deliver Us. And again, it really was the whole singer dilemma, you know?
Yeah. Now at that point, for who was singing for you on the demos?
A guy named Jack Rucker, who was basically a pop singer that we got, and he never rehearsed with the band. He never hung out with us. When we recorded, he just went in and Bill pitched them at like line at a time, like a true session guy. Yeah, just line at a time. You know, there's not one line I would venture to say, and I could be wrong. I don't think there's one line on a Warlord record that Bill didn't write and pitch it to the guys singing. You know, kind of thing. This wasn't. He wouldn't give songs to guys and say, "Hey, man, do whatever you want." No, he knew.
He was very focused on what he wanted. Exactly.
Yeah, like I said, he was using the voice as just another instrument that needed to be there to complement the other instruments that were going on.
Right. Is Rucker still alive, around? Where's he at?
I
Anybody
don't know. Over the years, we tried to get back in touch with him. You know, it was kind of disastrous. We did a showcase for Bill Aucoin, who was managing Kiss at the time.
Yeah, Kiss, right.
And he kept telling us about this new guy that he's got from his band Generation X that he's going to make a star. And we're like, yeah, whatever, Bill. He was talking about Billy Idol, obviously, and he did pretty good. So
he did pretty good. That's true.
So Warlord's up there. You know, you got the cozy pile looking drum set. You know, I don't think I had the spikes at the time, but Bill's over there in his Kiss boots, about 6'7", you know, and the leather jacket. He's ready to. He looks like something right off of some European heavy metal band. The bass player at the time, Craig, he was rocking. He was great, no problem. And in comes Jack. Okay, the singer. Okay, great. He's got long blonde hair. Okay, that's a good start.
Right.
I mean, we knew what he looked like ahead of time, obviously, but
sure.
Here he comes. He's got that black and white striped new wave Patti Smythe kind of shirt on.
Okay.
These guys not built, so it's not like, okay, he looks good.
Yeah, he's ripped and, you know,
he's got more eyeliner than Gene Simmons.
Oh, geez.
And it looked like he stole a cape from his daughter's Halloween costume, this little black cape. And we cranked through the songs. I don't even remember what we sounded like, but Bill Aucoin said basically, he goes, you got a great band, but your singer's never going to cut it for you guys.
Wow.
And that was it. I mean, Bill Aucoin was straight up, you know.
Where did you do the audition or the showcase?
It was a place called Stone Fox in North Hollywood. It's right next to the Warner Brothers recording studio, like Montrose did the first Montrose record stuff.
Okay.
Who record like the Babies used to rehearse there, and you know, older. I forgot his name was Andy, who owned it. It was Stone Fox. I mean, it was cool. We rocked it, but it just wasn't meant to be. And then you get the second singer in, Rick Cunningham, who was more concerned about being on the phone with his girlfriend in Texas and when the limos are going to show up,
right?
Than like really digging in. We never had a singer that like really dug in, you know. And that was, you know, until Giles, obviously, but nobody else really.
Cunningham was on the Cannons of Destruction.
Yeah, which was only done to be the soundtrack to the video. Now, going back to what you talked about not being popular and being more accessible in Europe, our whole point, you got to remember, there is no internet, there is no nothing.
Yep, it's tape trading, it's magazine.
Exactly. So what we thought, we're going to do this video so we can visually be presented to the people in Europe that will, number one, gather fans, number two, hopefully get some kind of live touring thing, and number three, just make the band bigger. Yeah. So that was our thought. That was our big marketing campaign at the time.
Good idea, really. A great idea, though. Very forward thinking.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the interesting trivia note about it, it was shot in the same place. It's called Perkins Palace. Remember in Spinal Tap when they're setting up and they got the glove or whatever they get? You know, when he comes walking down there, that's Perkins Palace. That's where they shot their video.
Okay.
Shot the video. But it didn't quite go as planned, and Rick didn't quite work out, and that was kind of it. You know,
the crazy part about that is I don't own the video, but I've seen it because it's up on YouTube, and I didn't know at first until I started reading the description. I didn't know that wasn't a live show.
Really?
I thought it was a live show in a small little theater, right? Okay. And then you watch it and you're like, holy fuck, there's actually nobody there. Just production people, your friends and stuff, you know.
Well, what happened was the idea was, okay, we're going to.
You can swear, by the way, Mark. You can do whatever you want.
Okay. You might open the floodgates on that one. But the idea was, okay, we have two cameras. And again, we did that whole thing, everything in for like $5,000, maybe.
Wow.
So, which I had to borrow from my parents at the time. The had cameramen, and they were cool. They're friends of mine. And the idea was, okay, set up in the back, run it once or twice, film it. Okay, go to the sides, run it once or twice. Film. Okay, put one on the drummer, put one on the singer. This got so screwed up and such a disaster. That's a one-take video.
Is it really?
What? That's why you don't see any close-ups of the drums.
Yeah, they're all from far.
Everything's from far away. I'll never forget about 9:30, and we got to be out of there by midnight or whatever. The sound engineer guy goes, "Man, if I don't get any food, I'm not touching these faders." I mean, it was right out of
everybody was cranky.
Oh, it was just one of those things where, but that's the only reason we recorded that soundtrack, that record. And it cracks me up how people really love that. And my best memory is that my brother shot all the pictures on that record. Okay. So I'll never forget going to master that. And I thought it was a horrible sounding record. I mean, I don't like it. It was done for nothing in a cheap ass, nasty studio, which is fine as long as you get the sounds, but we didn't get the sounds.
Yeah.
And when we took it to master, the engineer, Eddie Schreier, I think it was like a Capitol, it goes, come here for a second. And he shows me like the meters, and the record's out of phase. And it's not now where it's digital, where you can manipulate it and change it and play with it.
Sure, it's analog. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was.
What is it? Let me interrupt for a second. What does that mean, out of phase? Explain that.
The long and the short of it is, when it's out of phase, all the bottom end goes away, and it sounds like you're in a hollow little tunnel.
Yeah.
If you were here, I could put up 2 tracks on the recording console that's in front of me, and hey, yeah, it sounds great. It sounds great. I hit the out of phase button, which flips one. There's a big scientific thing with the sound wave and everything, but the bottom line is they're going in opposite directions, and it creates kind of a hollow, nasty, just wrong. It's just like
it does have that sort of roomy vibe, like it's like from far away, like you're hearing.
That's called out of phase and shitty.
Okay, I wondered about that. Okay, so
Eddie did his best he could, because there's ways back in the day you could kind of manipulate it a little bit, but it's like putting ketchup in a margarita. It's like kind of recording 101 of like, dude, what were you doing? And I wasn't quote as sophisticated as I am now because I didn't have the experience, but it's just, I'll never forget sitting there at Capitol Records, looking at the Frank Sinatra gold records, and the dude goes, come here. And I go, what? And he goes, oh, look, it's out of phase. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I don't know. So, but it served its purpose. People love it. And that's all that really counts,
Well, okay. So that you did that one in 84, right? Yeah. And then you end up going, and then nothing really happens. Nothing big happens anyways. You don't get an opportunity to go out. Did you play many shows? Did you get invited over to Europe to do anything, or Greece or anything?
Nothing happened. No shows. We didn't have a singer. I'll never forget, and this kind of sums it up, and it has nothing. This is not a negative comment. This is just what it was, what it is, and where it was at. We had the Deliver Us record. That was an 8-track record.
Right.
The engineer was smoking crack cocaine cigarettes the whole time that we did the album. Learned what that smelled like. And it was 2 bass drums and a bass guitar all mixed down to 1 track. So, it's an 8-track recording. Okay. I still think it's a classic. I still think it's, it's unbelievable for what it is. So we I don't know how we pull it off, but we go to a gentleman named Michael Browning, who was managing AC/DC at the time. Hollywood Hills, the whole thing, very stereotypical Hollywood Hills, rock manager guy. And he sits us down and plays the first side, doesn't say a word, flips it over, plays the second side, takes off and goes, you guys have a platinum record there. All of a sudden, me and Bill are getting all excited. And he goes, and we're like, oh God, here it comes. He goes, but you're on a very small label that doesn't know what to do with it, and they're not going to be able to really do anything for you. So you guys are done.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of like, that's kind of back then. You have to remember, there was many bands slugging it out on Metal Blade, and Metal Blade gave gazillion bands opportunities that they should have never had, number one, and that they should have been really thankful to have. But the other side of the coin was, Metal Blade wasn't in the business of like getting second mortgages on their house to find a band and really taking a shot.
Yes, right, exactly.
So there's no blame and nobody's mad. It's just kind of like that wrong place, wrong time, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And the fact that we couldn't secure a singer, and we talked to them all, Jeff Scott Soto, Mark Bowles, Neil Turpin, whatever, the list goes on and on. Everybody was kind of looking for money or looking to be like Motley Crue. So
rock star trip.
And yes, we went to Ronnie James Dio's house.
No way.
Well, yeah, he would have been perfect. No, I mean,
oh yeah, he'd been fucking insanely good. Yeah. But you guys knew him, or somebody?
Kind of, sort of. We knew someone who was working for this, that, and the other, and kind of thing. And it's like it was quick. Let's just put it that way. I'm not even sure if we got past Wendy, but you know, I mean, we were trying to do it everything we could, and it just wasn't meant to be at the time. And what happened? Bill just got super frustrated. You know, here we do Deliver Us, that, you know, showing up on Kerrang magazine. You know,
Yeah.
never would we have ever thought. You know, certain people got it. You know, certain people really got it, but nothing was happening, and Bill got just very, very, very frustrated. And we were doing the complete, you know, Warlord manner, living with the cockroaches, showering with like a fake shower that went into a thing with a shower curtain. No money. I would basically go to this Mexican bakery around the corner that had the most intense cookies, about the size of your hand. I'd take a buck and get 4 cookies because they were only a quarter, and eat them and kind of get sick. Then I wouldn't be hungry. So it was kind of down and dirty. Picture this.
Hang on one sec. So during this period of time, though, you guys are not like working day jobs, or?
I was working 3 different jobs. You know.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I'd do construction with my buddy and then come driving back. I was working actually at a collection agency in the office. Kind of do whatever you could do. Bill was getting money from his parents. Not a lot, trust you. And the funny thing about Bill, I mean, trust me, the funny thing about Bill was when he'd get that money, he'd take everybody out to eat. You know what I mean? He was he's very generous. He was very cool. But no, it was all just about playing. That's all that mattered. Now picture this. You know what LA is like, 104 in the summertime. We're on the 2nd floor, no air conditioning, heat rises. We have a window about the size of my video monitor here, with a fan going in or out. My cymbals would get so hot you couldn't really touch them. But we were doing it. We were doing it, and that's all that mattered, and that's all that counted.
The craziness of youth, right? That chasing that dream. So how do you end up hooking up with the Fates guys then?
Well, that you skipped all over the Animotion story, because at the Animotion.
Oh yeah, I do want to know the Animotion. Got to know that. Was I right or was I wrong?
Oh no, you're dead on right. Oh, I put it this way. I can honestly say I learned a lot in Fates Warning, but I could honestly say I learned more with Animotion and Charles and Astrid than I learned in every other band. It was all the electronic stuff. It was a sequence. It was the electronic drums. I was playing
all MIDI stuff.
All the MIDI stuff. All the stuff of, oh, we're really going to play to a click? You know, all that stuff. And plus they're just complete professionals. There's a great story. There's a great story that every musician.
How'd you get hooked up with that? I mean, that's a unique thing.
Well, here's the thing. It's kind of an interesting story. When Warlord went in the toilet, I was out there whoring myself out. You know, I wanted to play. I needed a band. I wasn't going back to San Jose. So I would literally play with a funk band, and I had the studio, because when everybody blew out of Warlord Manor, I kind of got stuck with it, because when you play the drums,
can't move them around.
And the bottom line now, you know, my buddy says to me, hey man, I'll give you $20 if we could rehearse there. You know, and now 30 years later, I own a 6,000 square foot building for 27 years that has 10 recording studios.
All rehearsal studio stuff? Is that what that is?
It's all recording now.
Oh wow, no shit.
All recording. So it was rehearsal for a long time. And we had the biggest of the big and the smallest of the small and everybody in between. And it was a good time. It was definitely the time in LA of when it was happening.
So you're kind of, what's the recording facility called?
Bill's Place. I named it after one of my cats.
Wow, that's kind of like you're kind of like the LA version of Gilmore and Metalworks.
Well, okay.
They're a little bigger. I know they're a little bigger.
Okay. And you know, we recorded at Metalworks. We did Parallel.
For Fates. Yeah.
I love Gilmore. You know, I mean,
he seems like a really super cool guy.
Yeah, I thought his vocal on Tears in the Rain were some of the best stuff ever. You know, I just loved him. No, Metalworks.
A little bigger.
Well, their recording studios are real recording studios, SSLs, Neves, whatever. They went that route. When we were there, I recorded those drums in a warehouse that had a Triumph banner behind me that was like spray painted kind of banner. In just a brick warehouse, and they had one room, I think, at the time, and it was the SSL, and Terry Brown was there, and it was cool. Metalworks was totally cool, but I went on their website and I said, oh my god, you know, there's like 5 rooms or something like that. My thing kind of changed a little differently. You know, we were doing the rehearsal, we were tied into through Fates and other things, I was tied into a couple managers, and we had, you know, everything from, White Zombie to Puddle of Mud to Body Count to
Wow.
Alanis Morissette to Bernie Taupin to what was that Aerosmith guy, Jimmy Crespo. I mean, all anything you could think of, we kind of had it. Dave Weckl was there for a long time. But my thing, when I switched out of the rehearsal thing, and I built the studio years and years and years ago from ground up, blew out the 4 walls and a roof, and then went from there and designed it with the curved walls and the cool things and whatever. But when the rehearsal studio went into business, because the music business really went in the dumper.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Good example is Counting Crows used to come in for 6 months to record their album. Hey, Mark, just bill us. Cool. 6 months. At the very end, it was, hey, man, we need 3 weeks and we need a deal. So I saw the writing on the wall. So I went back through because I originally know that I built the front room with about $120,000 of a real recording studio.
Wow.
Lead line plywood, separated rooms completely, room within a room within a room within a room.
Yeah.
And that was always booked. Okay?
And that's Bill's place now.
That's Bill's.
Yeah. I got to check that out. I'll have to link that in the description. A couple guys popped on here. Laser Battalion says, hell yeah, legendary Mark Zonder. There you go. Legendary.
I wish my kids thought that, but no.
Good 69 says, awesome. And then we got 2 there. One is very interesting. I'm very curious about this. My buddy Mike here wants to know if you remember your first drum kit, what it was.
Oh, abso-frickin-lutely. I started my first lessons when I was 7. It was a practice pad, and for the 9th or 10th birthday or Hanukkah or whatever, I got like a really cheap, nasty set that my grandfather gave me, that because he worked in a toy store at a co-op store. And the problem with that drum set is when the head broke, the drum was such a weird size, no one made a replacement head.
Oh, shit.
So that gives you an idea of what kind of kit was. But the first kit I ever got, like a real kit, I was 13. It was my bar mitzvah. I'd been taking lessons for 6 years. I was on the snare drum and the practice pad. I was in the school orchestra or whatever they call it. And I had to stand up there in front of the class and play my 5-stroke rolls and 7. And I remember that music teacher like it was yesterday. Okay.
Isn't that cool? You remember those nostalgic things, right?
Oh, I see it from standing there watching. But the name of the drum set, and it was interesting because my drum teacher at the time, who's the drummer for the Merv Griffin show, which is like the Mike Douglas show, or like
back in the 70s.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this was actually in the 60s at that time, the end of the 60s. Okay. I could have went with like this used little Ludwig kit that he had, keeping it within the price range, or this brand new kit from a company in Japan called Stewart, Stewart. It was blue sparkle. The cymbals were god awful. At least the heads could be replaced because they were normal size. But no, I remember having that kit, and then I put like not wallpaper, but like paper on it to make it look a different color and all that kind of stuff. And yeah,
right.
Stewart from Taiwan or Japan or whatever it was from.
Oh, no kidding, man. How about that? You were 13.
I was 13 when I got my first real kit. I had the snare drum from the lessons and the practice pad and all that crap.
King Igor asked a question that this is coming out of left field. Interestingly, because I just bought the back catalog of this band because I thought I had all the albums, but I didn't. He's asking if you're going to play on the new Big Elf album. There's a new Big Elf?
I don't mean to sound ignorant, but what is Big Elf?
That's a band with Damon Fox. Do you know Damon Fox?
No, I've done a lot of work for a lot of different people over the years.
He's worked with Linda Perry from Four Non Blondes, the singer.
Okay. I know who that is.
And he actually played keyboards and I think maybe guitar, but I know it was keyboards with the Cult. When the Cult were touring, I don't think he's there now. I think he had a heart attack or some kind of heart problem.
I love the Cult.
So, King Igor, that sounds like Mark doesn't know what you're talking about, but I want to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, hook me up. I'm good. I'm game. I can record it right back there. It's right there. Okay.
Well, it's interesting because I just had John Wesley on. I don't know if you know John Wesley. He played guitar and backing vocals for Porcupine Tree for a number of years.
Okay.
And we were talking about that because it's weird how this, circular sort of thing. He went out with Damon and Duffy, the bass player, who unfortunately had a stroke and is not well now. He's back in Finland. But John was the guitar player, and guess who was the drummer? It wasn't you. It was Mike Portnoy. So, one of his 9 million bands that he was in for, you know, a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm interested to hear King Igor about the new Big Elf because I really want to get Damon Fox on. I'm trying to work that through John. So if time permits, can you tell us about the Cans project? I don't know what that is.
Joachim Kahn, singer for Hammerfall. I did his record. Love Joachim, really, really good friends. We didn't technically tour, but I did a one-off going from LA to Sweden to play these little festivals. No, I just love Joachim. Yeah, we played live. We're great. He played, you know, he did the Warlord stuff at Wacken live,
Right.
and the little club gig beforehand. But no, a great guy, really good guy. You know, this is really funny going back to Warlord. I never understood. Warlord has a problem with the singer. Can't find
Right.
it. Okay. I don't know, by hook or by crook, we get Joachim for the Rising Out of the Ashes. I thought it was a great album. The songs are strong. Everything's great. You got Joachim Kahn, singer from a band that's much bigger than Warlord.
Oh, sure.
And there's like backlash. You know that Metal Blade refused the record. They turned it down. They didn't want it.
Really?
I was dealing with the European office. I wasn't dealing with Brian. I was dealing with the European office. And I'll never forget writing email and never hearing anything back, sending him the demo, never hearing anything back. And then finally, I guess I bugged him too much and he wrote me back, not interested.
Wow.
I thought Joachim with Warlord was going to be like, and believe me, we weren't asking for money. We never even got to the point of
Yeah,
discussing.
you just wanted to put it out, get
Yeah,
distribution on it. Yeah.
And I thought since we had Joachim, we were ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll never forget being in Long Island, in my house, and the recording studio was in the basement. Joachim was in the back bedroom, and Bill was there. And Bill actually, even back then in the early 2000s, really early 2000s, was having health problems. You know, it was starting there.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, good old Joachim. You know, I love Joachim. I'm surprised he hasn't done another solo record, but I know he's got other business ventures going on, and he does like plays, I think, and like he's busy. Let's just put it that way. I don't think.
Yeah, and I'm going to admit to something to you, Mark. I only knew the early stuff. I did not know there was 2 other albums came out. 2002, you had Rising Out of the Ashes, and then in 2013, you had The Holy Empire. Now, who sang on that?
The Holy Empire, actually, Giles actually is on one song called Kill Zone, which is like the Judas Priest style song that the other gentleman, Rick Anderson, just didn't have that voice. Rick Anderson is the guy that came in after the Cannons of Destruction was done. You know, like that period was over, and we were writing new material. He was the guy that was kind of singing with us right before Bill just kind of
called it quits.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay.
So he was around, and that's how Bill knew him, and he sang on that album.
Hey, Mark, I'm going to interject for a sec. You don't have an interview at 8, do you?
No.
Okay. So are we good for a little while?
I got about a half an hour.
Okay, that's cool. I didn't want to overstay because we did.
No.
Cool. All right. So someone's asking about Lordian Guard. That was Bill's thing with his wife, right?
That was Bill's thing with his wife and basically a drum machine.
Yeah. So he's asking why you didn't play on. I'm guessing because you had other stuff going on. You didn't ask. Well, there you go. Simple answer to that. So we'll get to that in a minute. Mike. I got to get back to my little thing here. So yeah, I did not know these albums were out, and I checked them out, and I like them. They're good, solid albums, man. I mean, but I will say, let's turn this back to the main reason we're here, and that is the new album again, Free Spirit Soar, coming out in May 10th on High Roller Records. What I wanted to ask about this, the way I understand this is that there were bits and pieces of things that Bill had written and he had on hard drives, I'm assuming, right? Guitar parts, maybe some keyboard parts. What was the state of these songs when you guys decided to get in there, and were there songs, or was it just pieces and parts that you formed into songs, I guess?
All of the above. What had happened was out of when we played those gigs, me and Bill had a discussion afterwards about doing a new record, and we said, hey, let's go back, kind of that Deliver Us thing, shorter songs. As you noticed, when you listen to like
they got longer.
two records you talk about, a little bit more orchestration, almost a little bit movie soundtrack kind of thing. Bill was
a little more proggy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we decided, okay, let's start doing a record. So he sent me a few ideas, which I have here on my hard drive, obviously, and I started working on stuff. And the real bottom line is Bill's health wouldn't let him permit to keep moving with it. It just kind of, I couldn't just keep bugging him. I knew he was sick. You know, he had a gastro thing.
Okay.
And he just couldn't keep it up. You know, we just couldn't get it going. So I had a bunch of ideas.
Where was he living? Wasn't he in Baltimore?
Florida.
Oh, he's in Florida. Okay, I thought he was in Maryland. I don't know why I thought that.
Tarpon Springs, Florida. And, you know, I had these songs that I actually recorded drums to, you know, and it was just a matter of kind of going from there. I had his guitar tracks, you know.
Okay.
Then there's a couple other ones that were Lordian Guard songs that we didn't remake them per se. It was Bill's songs,
right?
But we just basically added drums, you know, and you know went from there.
What did he just have? Digital drums on there for tracking?
Yeah,
or?
It was just a drum machine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Giles, and I think the importance of him, but I think Jimmy too. It just sounds like Jimmy had a lot to do with kind of helping form these things with all the keyboard sounds and.
Well, it was like I've said many times before. It was Giles, Jimmy, and Eric, the guitar player.
Oh yeah, we didn't mention him. I'm sorry, Eric.
No, that's okay. Philip
Eric Juris.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Philip and I played the drums and the bass, and that was cool, and we had a good time. But those guys right there are the ones who took it and really worked it, massaged it, put it in form. Eric did an amazing job with, again, he's a guy who understood Warlord. He knew that he wasn't going to come in and play blues licks. He spent the time and the energy, and he studied Bill. He knew all about the Greek, there's a terminology for it, like the style of playing or like the philosophy behind it.
Yeah, the scales are slightly different. They use minors in there where you wouldn't think to use them, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
And he also went down and really dialed in Bill's 1980s sound, which was important. Because, you know, I told Giles that if we're going to do this, we're not going to make this Warlord 2024 and I'm going to bust out the electronic drums and we're going to get crazy with crazy drums and stuff like that. I go, we're going to keep it in the form that it was in a tribute to Bill.
Right.
And so everybody, those three guys really rounded it all together and really spent the time and the energy. That's why when you put that record on, yes, we know it's not Bill. And no, we didn't kick him out of the band. He passed away. Okay. So we're continuing on.
Yeah.
But it's in Bill's
memory.
It's memory, but also his philosophy and spirit. We're not going.
Yeah, spirit. That's a good word for it right there. Yeah.
By Freeze, you know, the name of the album. You know?
Well, did you know he was that ill? Like, or was that unexpected? Oh, you did know.
Oh, we played that show at the Chania whatever festival in Crete. I forgot the year. It was after all that other stuff, and we were just thankful that he made it to the stage.
Wow.
I mean, it was, you know, he was a trooper. I mean, he was going to do it, even if he fell off the front of the stage, but he was going to do it. And it had to be. I could just see him. Yes, we saw it coming. You know.
So you wasn't surprised then?
No, it wasn't like, you know, the picture of health and the guy just passes. It wasn't that at all. I mean, like I said, in the early 2000s, you know, he was on a lot of medication for the whole gastro thing that they couldn't figure out.
Yeah. Is I assume this is kind of probably a stupid question, but I'm curious. You guys still remain pretty tight as friends throughout all the ups and downs of things never really kind of happening the way you wanted it to happen, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were both very supportive. Bill and I were completely different people as far as a lot of the philosophy, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
You know, but there was just that mutual respect and that common bond. You know, I can honestly say we never had a disagreement.
Wow.
We never had an argument per se.
That's unusual for a band.
But again, you got to remember it was only two of us, so it made it simple.
That's true.
You know, and I respected him for his vision. You know, I'm curious, you know, how good the guys in Russia would have got along if there was another two guys. You know what I mean?
That's a great point, because they're like the best of buddies, but you know, you wonder. And Neil always seemed to be the kind of the grumpy old man sort of later on. I mean, obviously, but I mean, lovable. But you know, that's how Alex and Geddy actually even talk about him in reverential terms. But did you ever meet him?
No, never met them. Obviously, work with Terry Brown.
Yeah, I was going to say that neat connection there.
Yeah, no, it was good.
How many albums? He did Parallels and the next one, right? Or no, he did Pleasant Shade of Grey.
Yeah, to a point. You know, it's interesting. He did different piecemeals. I could say with Terry, his home run where he did it start to finish, and it was his gig.
Parallels.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, man. That album, holy shit, what a fucking album, man. Just so good, man. I mean, I will say this. My nostalgic favorite album of Fates is Awaken, because that's where I came in 1986. I bought that and Master of Puppets on cassette the same day. And those two albums didn't leave my car for, you know, I just started driving. I had an old VW, right? An orange VW. You could see it from 8,000 miles away. And man, those two tapes never left my car. But my favorite Fates album is Parallels. It is just, yeah, man. I mean, everything is so good about it. Perfect Symmetry is amazing. I mean, your time there, just all those albums, Mark, they mean so much to me, man. I can't explain it to you. So I'm sorry I'm fanboying, but
no, it's cool. It's
very
cool.
important, very important to me.
Yeah, that the Parallels record, if you put it down on paper, there's no reason that shouldn't have been a million seller and the band should have exploded.
Exactly.
What's the difference between that and, well, I'll tell you what the difference is, but the difference between that and Silent Lucidity?
Not much at all.
Well, it's called a major label.
Island in the Stream.
Yeah, but it's called a major label.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
That hurt us. You know, there's the interesting story that you can see on the documentary of the Fates Warning thing and everything, where basically, you know, Warner Brothers was set up to take the band, you know, because we'd sold over 150,000 units,
right?
You know, and they went with the Goo Goo Dolls instead, and they didn't take Fates Warning, and then it all just went in the toilet. And what's funny is after Parallels, I think we sold over 150,000 units or whatever. It was all over the radio. I mean, it did well. Everything.
Yeah, I remember the video on MTV for Eye to Eye. Yeah.
Yep, everything was happening, and then we couldn't get a lunch with the label. Seriously.
Wow.
Because everything turned to tattoos and dreadlocks and not taking showers. So
yeah, that's true, man. That the timing of that album was
by that much.
Yeah, you really did by maybe 6 months to a year. But I was going to say, I have not read this yet, but you have a copy of this, I assume.
Oh, I read it.
Have you? Okay, you're in it, I assume, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jeff and Hunter probably are going to be coming on soon. I just got my copy. I know it's been out a while. It took me. I'm not the greatest reader. I'm ADHD, so I got to really sit down and kind of pull everything away. But I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's a pretty good book, from what I understand.
There's good stuff in there. It's pretty much straight up. It is what it is. Yeah.
So you're with Fates from '88 to you leave when? After X, right?
Yeah, I think it's 15 years. So I don't know. Where does that put me? 2002, well, 2002-ish.
2003. Yeah, right.
Right in there. Yeah.
And you kind of intimated to me why you left. Do you want to reiterate that in different terms?
It's kind of simple. I've been in the band 15 years. I got married. I was in New York, and it just got to that point. And I came to Jim and I said, "Hey, you know, I love the band. I think the formula that you, me, and Ray have is great. I love the recording process. I think we have magic, and I'd like to continue, you know, to record the records. And I'm sure we can figure something out. I know I won't be a part of the band, you know, or anything like that. And it's not even about the money. I just love being the recording process and stuff, you know." And Jim just said, "No, we need a guy that's going to do the touring too, as well as the recording." I said, "Okay." And that was that, you know.
And you moved. You were in New York. You said those guys were all in Connecticut, I assume, right?
Yeah, we never rehearsed. No one lived. Yeah, no one ever lived together. I mean, you know, that's when I was moving back to LA. When I first joined the band, Jim was in LA. You know, we played.
I didn't know that. I saw that somewhere. I didn't. How long was he out there?
A year, 2 or 3, I think. I couldn't tell you exactly, but we'd play tennis and whatever, and
Okay.
and stuff like that. But no, it was pretty simple, cut and dry, and it wasn't my decision to make. I put it out there really straightforward, and the rest is history.
Davey's asking, what's your favorite singer in Warlord? Is that something you want to answer? The one that stayed the longest.
Yeah, and that would even be hard for me to figure out because none of them stayed long. I love Giles for the fact that he's into Warlord. Okay, that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I love Joachim just because he was like a big time pro. But when you go back and you listen to Deliver Us, there's just something about Jack's vocals.
Yeah.
As much as he didn't have a clue, if you didn't go through that showcase and you didn't know stories of Jack behind the scenes and never really quote rehearsing and just pitching, Bill would just pitch him lines. It'd be like the first time he heard it, he'd just sing it, kind of thing.
Yeah. I know. He was did he sing Aliens or was that the other guy?
No, that was Rick. Jack.
That was Rick. Okay.
Yeah, Jack,
I like Rick. They're similar. It's hard to tell them apart. They're pretty close.
Jack was much more of a dead-on singer.
Okay.
Jack was hitting it 1 and 2 take stuff. Rick was a lot longer. Let's just
okay.
It would frustrate Bill to no end, but okay. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can I don't know if I have this. Hold on a minute here. I forgot to pull that up. Damn it. The artwork here? I don't think the artwork's here. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I should add this. Oh, there we go. We'll share this real quick for people that haven't seen it. There we go. So there's the artwork, kind of in keeping with the Deliver Us vibe. It's got that cool sort of mystical, the ethereal, I guess would be a good word for it.
That was all High Roller, and they do an amazing job, and they took care of all that. But yes, it ties to Deliver Us. It's it's the same band.
Yeah, it's in that vein. You got the same cool logo that's been. Who designed your logo?
Believe it or not, Diane Cornarens, going way, way back. She actually played some keyboards early on, and then went into a band called Sahara.
And I remember them.
Diane, I don't even think she was in the playing with us at the time. I think she was just a fan because her brother John Cornarens was a big heavy metal fan guy, and he was responsible, partially responsible for bringing Yngwie over, and he was friends with Lars, and just a really, really cool, great guy. And his sister, I think, just liked the music so much that she's the one who came up with that.
It's cool, man. It's cool. I love that logo. Looking at the song titles here, do you have a favorite? I really kind of like the Bell Tolls. I think that might be my favorite track. I do like the Rider and Conquers. They're both solid. I like them all. They're good tracks. Do you have a favorite that you really locked in on?
Well, Worms of the Earth and For Whom the Bell Tolls were songs that we were playing back in 81, 82.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So to see them come to fruition, I guess is the word, to see them actually get to where they're supposed to go was kind of cool. Whenever I have total flashbacks of me and Bill playing way too fast and, out of time and everything else, but just jamming on them.
I got a question. Where was I going with that, man? I had a question, man. That my ADHD just lost that one quick there. I'll get back to it. I know it'll come back to me. But you you said shows. Are you guys? You've got a couple shows, I believe, like festivals, or no?
Yeah, end of August, into September, and then more even coming in. Already have stuff booked for May next year.
Really? That's great.
But what's going to really tip this scale and really let the water out of the jug is when we go out and play. The band will be super tight. It'll be note for note. There'll be no improv. There'll be no jamming. You close your eyes and you're gonna think Bill's gonna be there. And then the reputation kind of spreads because right now no one knows what they're thinking. It's just gonna be a bunch of old men up on stage trying to play and whatever. And that's why we make sure we got 2 guitar players that were 40, so we're good.
You got another guitar player for live?
Yes, Eric and his buddy Diego
Okay.
They're working on stuff right now. So, oh no, you definitely needed 2 guitar players and Waldo too.
Yeah, to get that full, complete sound. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have that. You know, there's no question.
Do you have stuff planned for the U.S. or just overseas right now?
Next year, there's stuff planned already for the U.S., but we're, like I said, you know, we have to kind of get this up and going. I think hopefully also when the record physically comes out, that'll spark some interest. I think, again, it's just a matter of, you know, show and tell. You know, people aren't going to know what it's going to be. And if you come out with a smoking live act, I mean, like I always tell Giles, I go, dude, it doesn't matter. We have the songs. So as long as we can take those and, you know, even if I have to crawl to the stage, if we can play those and play them the right way, we'll be good because people are going to hear those songs and flash back to 1983.
Right. And you know what? A really good one, man. I don't know if you're talking to him. I can put you in contact with him. The dude in Houston, Christian Baca, his name is Christian Baca. He is in a band called Necrofire, but he has that Hell's Heroes Festival. That'd be a great. No,
because.
Okay, you don't want to talk about it.
Well, let's put it this way. Great idea.
Okay. All right. You can tell me off air then.
Okay. All good.
Okay.
Good. But yes, great festival. Great festival.
I think I know where you're going with this. Okay. I'll tell you what, it's funny. I had him on for a short interview because I'm working with Season and Mist guys. And I'm like, hey, would you interview Christian? I'm like, I don't know who he is, you know. And then I played Necrofire. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll have him on. Didn't realize he was the Hell's Heroes guy. And we start talking about it. I'm like, hey, man, like, you should get Crimson Glory. He's like, well, I'd love to get Crimson Glory. I'm like, they're back. And he's like, well, give me their email address. And then Fifth Angel. Do you remember Fifth Angel?
Yep.
Ken Mary? You probably know of Ken.
Yep.
I can't say anything, but I think it might be something like, you know, what you might be alluding to.
I think me and Ken might run into each other, possibly.
You might. I think you're going to run into each other. That's right.
Possibly.
I'm going to have to, I think I might have to make a trip to Houston. I used to live there. Why not? You know?
There you go. Good timing.
So look, real quick, we'll wrap up with a couple things here. The new album, like, I think I heard you say on Jimmy K, you're not, when you go out, you're not going to be playing new songs. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're right. What I want to do is the first couple times out, just give people what they want to hear, that they've heard for 40 years, 30 years. I always kind of reference back to this one. I remember seeing some of my greatest bands, my favorite bands of all time, like the legacy bands, you know, because they're older. And you go there and you hear all their great songs, and the bass player steps to the mic and says, "Hey, we got a new album out." Everybody leaves.
Yeah.
Let us really cement that Warlord, you know, what everybody wants. I don't want to be selling them stuff they don't really want to hear.
Right.
Realistically, we ain't going to sell 1 million records. The chance of people really hearing and knowing those songs off that new album, not very good. Not very high.
I get you.
Not compared to Child of the Damned, not compared to Lucifer's Hammer.
Right.
Kind of go with what you know works, you know, and also kind of squashes that whole thing of, oh, they're going over here now. It's like, no, let's just give them what we know they want.
Yeah.
The
new album, I didn't have time to really dig around over there and see what. I put the link in there, the direct link. Is there going to be vinyl, CD, cassette, or just
the whole
CD
thing is actually a 7-inch single? You know,
no way.
Yeah, High Roller, man. You got to go to their site. They really know how to do it. They do it old school, you know.
Well, how'd you get tied in with them? How'd that happen?
Well, they're more of a legacy kind of thing where they like to do reissues.
Yeah.
So we started with them with all the reissues that they did, was absolutely phenomenal. And Giles did an amazing job of hunting down all this stuff that I didn't even know we had.
Right.
And then it kind of just went from there. And I think this might be one of the few new releases that they're doing, because they're not really a new release kind of thing. Even though Warlord's not new, but
right. But they're known mostly for reissues usually.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, it worked out, and they're just great. They're big fans, is what it really
they're
is.
out of Germany.
Yeah.
Germany. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the link is down below. Go check the album out. I don't. There's one track out right now or two.
Yeah, just Conquerors is out right now.
Okay, but I think there's plans for another one to drop.
There's
right?
going to be another one. Yeah.
Okay. Really quickly, let's can we touch on A to Z really quickly?
Absolutely. Second record is about 99% done. Ray still has one more song that he's got to basically finish up. I changed up the guitar players, and keyboard player from the first album. Heavier sound, deeper, more mature, a thicker kind of sound, a little heavier.
Riffier, you mean? Riffier?
Not even riffier. Just more dynamic, I guess you could say. Nick Van Dyke from the band Redemption, who's a really good friend of mine.
Oh yeah.
We wrote, and then Simone Molaroni. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
Okay, Simone mixed that first record. Simone plays in a band, I think it's DGM. Frontiers. Simone's in Italy. Unbelievable, amazing guitar player. Just knows what to play when. It's brilliant. And then of course, Jimmy
Philip.
Waldo.
Philip and you, right?
What's that?
Philip and you?
Yes, of course.
And then Ray.
And Ray. Yeah, you gotta surround yourself with, with friends, with guys that you can trust, mature, guys that communicate, just to get these things done, because we're not in a rehearsal room 5 days a week and we all live in the same place.
Right. Yeah.
I understand everybody. I mean, Nick Van Dyke spends more time in an airplane than he does on the ground. Okay.
Wow.
He very busy guy, but he makes time for things. Or he'll tell you, hey, I can't make it, but this is what's going to happen. Or, hey, I can't make the gig, but here's 4 guitar players that'll play instead of me. I mean, it's just about communicating. And it's so rare in this business that after that first album, I just said, I can't do this. I can't.
Well, let me ask you this. How well did that album do? And that was on Inside Out, I think.
That was Metal Blade.
Oh, it was Metal Blade. Okay.
And
how did it do?
It did great. The guys in the band killed the touring situation. One of them said, oh, my Rush tribute band's playing for 9 months, so I'm not available. And I said, okay, great. We have 90 guitar players. We get Mike Dowd, whatever. I mean, there's a million guitar players. Just learn the parts. And then Ray basically said, if it's not these guys, I don't want to go out and tour. We were getting offers. It charted like most label, bands do in the beginning on the thing. But it has an amazing reputation. The biggest comment is the logo that Hugh Syme did looks like a swastika. That's the biggest complaint.
Oh, that's right. I remember seeing that. That's right. I love that artwork though. I think it's cool as hell.
It's amazing. I'm Jewish. My son's Orthodox Jew. Please stop.
I didn't know you were Jewish. Somebody else. I actually didn't know you were Jewish. When you mentioned your bar mitzvah and everything.
Oh no, just stop. It's like people have nothing better to say. If I can handle, hey man, your band sucks. Okay, you don't like it. Okay, hey Mark, you're overplaying. Okay, cool, I get it. But stop looking for things. It's just, please stop. It's just enough. Enough is enough. But it did great. I love Hugh. I talk to him all the time. He's doing the artwork for the second album cover. We're doing it old school. We're not just putting out, a green cover with a purple, number 4 on it or whatever.
Yeah, right.
We're not doing the, hey, go to my website to check the pictures.
Yeah.
If I'm selling you something, if I'm trying to sell you a steak, I can't give you a hamburger. Okay.
Right.
It's got to be a full pack, and you go, wow, these guys spent money. Look at this. Look at the artwork this is cool.
Sure.
That whole thing.
No, that was well done. I think that album was well done. When it came out, I think I saw you on Prog Report or one of the, talking about it. Yeah. And that spurred me. I'm like, whoa, Zonder and Ray are on there? Okay, I got to go check that out. And I dig it a lot. So when any ETA on the second one, or hard to say?
It should be getting mixed in the next month. And then, the classic thing in the business these days where, okay, we need the 9 months for the production.
Yeah.
The good news is this day and age, bands aren't doing the album a year like we used to do in the old days, which I miss and which I wanted to do. And that was part of the problem that I was having. We get done with the record. We turn the record in November. Yeah. It's not coming out till August the next year.
Right.
So I'm sitting there going, hey man, here's 117 different drum ideas. Let's start writing the second record. Let's go. Nothing. I
Yeah.
go, we're killing time. And time is precious, especially in this business, And
And the older you get, the shorter the days get, right?
well, yeah, or it's just, you either love doing this or you don't. And if you're not, just bow out.
Get
Just
out.
say,
Yeah.
Mark, you're an asshole. I can't stand you. Your breath smells. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
But disappearing for 3 and 4 months, and I have to write you 17 emails and texts. Not to sound like the bitter old man, but I just expect more, I guess, from people. You're paying them money, you're giving them more publicity and taking them to a new level that they've never been to.
Yeah.
The guy's getting more hits on his Facebook page than he ever has. For what? And just no respect.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. So real quick, we'll wrap up here. Spirits of Fire, anything happened with that? Because you did two?
We did two, and I talked to Chris a little while ago, and he goes, I just don't think Frontiers is interested in doing a third one.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know. I've been hearing from Caffrey a lot that maybe Aliva and him are finally writing that Sabotage album. Is that you know anything about that?
I've heard what you've heard, nothing more, nothing less. But Chris is a great guy. Meeting Steve DiGiorgio out of all that and being friends and just kind of hooking up and stuff like that was really great. He's a great guy.
Cool. He's a cool as a cucumber, isn't he, man?
Way too tall for my taste.
Fuck, man. Him and Hoagland together are like fucking trees, man. They're like
exactly. But really, 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 really good guy,
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
there's a guy though, Mark. That have you worked with him with DiGiorgio?
Yeah.
I mean,
he did both albums.
He's a pro, man. Like he's like, and he's so fucking good, man. I mean, like,
absolutely. Those are the kind of guys. If Bynoe, if Bynoe is taken care of, with Vi and he's just too busy.
Right.
The first guy to go to is James Pulley, who plays with Chris and Pelletieri.
Right.
And the second guy, or running a really close first, is Steve. You know what I mean? If he's available, I know he's always very busy.
Yeah,
those guys are great. They're just pro. Pro. That's a rare word these days.
For sure. So everybody that's watching here, we had like 15 people at one point in time, which is pretty nice for a Friday evening. People are out doing their thing. But I want to thank you very much for coming on. Don't hang up yet. We're gonna end in a sec here, and then I want to chat with you just for a minute. Want to thank you for so much time tonight, Mark. Mark, it was great. Guys, go check this album out and buy it, because let's say it's $20. That's what, 4 lattes for the month. You can survive, trust me. And think about it this way: if we don't support musicians like Mark, he's not going to be able to create, man, because it's not, it's not free doing this stuff. His time is not free, and we need to support these artists, because the machinations of the giant record companies are gone now, and we gotta do what we can to keep these guys in a job, right? So, but yeah, the links are down below. The only things I found were your Facebook, Warlord's Facebook, and then the link to High Roller. Was there anything I'm missing?
Well, there's the A through Z.
I'll add that. You have a website for A through Z?
It's the Facebook deal.
The Facebook page? All right. I'll add that on after we're done here and make sure that gets put up there. And like you said, you're thinking end of the year for A to Z, maybe?
Probably after the first, which would, I hate releasing a record November, December, and but then again, it's kind of up to the label, whatever they want to do, as long as they're behind it. And they did a great job.
Who's behind this one? It's Metal Blade again?
Metal Blade, yeah. They did an amazing job on the first one. They did great. They didn't know what they were getting into, They didn't know what it was going to be. It was new to them, and they did a great job. Have nothing but good things to say, and they're always there for me. I can always make that phone call and get things rolling, and we're already planning on the next record.
When the next record comes out, you got to promise you'll come back then. So.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it.
All right, man. We're going to wrap up here. Let Mark get busy with his Friday evening. I'm going to get a bite to eat and crash, because I've been up like way too many hours right now. I've I've had the craziest February. I think I've done. You're on my. Well, we're in March now. I forgot, but this is my 15th interview this month. So from February to now, that's a lot of interviews, and no slouches, nobodies. Everybody was a somebody. I was the nobody. So it's
Sounds good, man.
been fun, but I'm freaking tired. I need a little bit of a break. So upcoming events, Sunday night at 10 o'clock. Eric Berg from Psychic Vacuum and I are going to wrap up all the extraneous Tull material, the Jethro Tull stuff. So we're going to be talking about the 3 or 4 box sets and all the bonus tracks on all the 40th anniversary box sets, the Steven Wilson stuff and all that. So we're going to do that. And then on the 10th, Traditional Metal Island, 2 p.m. Sunday afternoon, a full 10-person panel where everybody's picking their top 10 favorite traditional metal albums. And something tells me something that Mark Zonder played on is probably going to be on that Traditional Metal Island set there. So set your clocks, and then we'll see what else is coming. We'll see how much energy I have to get to other stuff. So thanks for being here, everybody. Mark, hang on one sec.
Thank you.